Whew. Okay, so hopefully we'll be able to do it this time. Let's see what the top chat is. Okay. I'm back. I'm back. Let's go ahead and get the likes back up. I'm going to leave that other video up. I think my Wi-Fi is acting crazy. I'll be right back. Mexico Wi-Fi be on some ghetto shit sometimes, y'all. It's not YouTube. I ain't did nothing to YouTube for them to be messing with me. I ain't did nothing. I stay out of the way of YouTube. Out of the way. Hey, like some extensions. All right, let's get the likes up some more, guys. I appreciate your support. Thank you. I'm gonna start going live a little bit more often than I have been. I know you guys hate me when I come on here and do like hate when I come on here and do like a 1 month video once a month. But I'm better now, guys. I'm a lot more stronger than I was before. Way more stronger. And way more knowledgeable. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. All right. So I said what I had to say in that first video. So let's get to the topic of soul walk-ins, bots, karmic children. There are people out here that's loosely using this term, and certain practitioners are going out here just telling people that they have karmic children and all this other shit, and they don't know what they're talking about. So I'm going to kind of break this whole thing down about that in terms of that. Okay. All right. So, and let as many people know as you possibly can that I am live, guys. I really appreciate the support. But let's start with karmic children. And I don't want you guys spazzing out on me, saying, Isis, is my child karmic? Oh my God. This, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. First thing I need you parents to do is calm your nerves down. Right from the gate. Calm your nerves down. This is just information and knowledge for you to know. Karmic children. Karmic children usually come in situations like if the man who you had relations with was soulless, and you get that, and that man gets you pregnant with child, 9 times out of 10, that child is going to be karmic. If you end up, this goes for ladies, if you end up having a child to a man who was married, and you knew he was married, or he was with a significant other, that is a karmic child. Because what that child does, the child's existence, especially in situations like that, brings karma on both sides, all 3 sides, to be honest with you. That's why it's very important that your morale, your morals need to go up. If you're married, you respect your marriage. If you're in a relationship, you respect your relationship. Because there are consequences to those who don't respect their relationships and step out of their relationships and decide that they're going to get caught up in the heat of the moment Ups and then all of a sudden I'm popping out this child. And this has been going on quite prevalent within this country we call the United States. Because this country has worked very hard at chiseling out or chiseling away the moral compass of human beings that live in this country. You see it in the TV shows it reflects. You see it, or you hear it in the music that you listen to. You might see it in the news. You may see it in reality shows. Whatever it is that you are, whatever programs that you are tuned into is being downloaded into your quantum physics computer, and it begins to start computing inside your brain and matching those things that resonate with you. Okay? This is why we always say you have to be very careful about what channels that you're going to tune into. Be careful of who and what you associate with. Your relationships depend on this. Your friendships, the relationships with your parents, relationships with your friends, relationships with your colleagues. How you perceive yourself is what you're going to attract outside of you. So when we begin to start talking about karmic children, this comes from individuals who don't necessarily have the wherewithal to know anything about this knowledge. And for the most part, they're very young. Some of them are older, not much older, but some of them are. But they have their maturity levels is not matching up to their age, so to speak. Their emotional maturity levels are not matching. And so they find themselves getting into these situations that they think is cute because they learn it off of social media. Or they were listening to their favorite celebrity who's married, by the way. We ain't going to talk about how you listening to these thoughts out here, but these thoughts are married and in relationships telling you to go out here and mess yourself up. We're not even going to talk about that. We're not even going to talk about that basic common sense, that critical thinking that's lacking for most people, where they don't actually see that the people that they're looking up to are in these long-term relationships, but telling you that a person got to do this, a person got to do that, I got to carry myself like this, and they got to carry themselves like that, and blah, 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 blah. It's not realistic. And I think that some of the people have gotten caught up in the facade of what they think real life really is, instead of just paying attention to the life that they're living and being present in the life that they're living and figuring out ways on how to better themselves and better their families and learning better on how to make better choices. So when we start talking about karmic children, one of the things you're going to know about a karmic child is how they relate to you when they're growing up. That karmic child also could be a soul walk-in at the same time. Soul walk-ins. It's when the original soul that came with the vessel decides to dismiss itself for another soul to come in. And it's like they're really having a conversation saying, hey, do you mind if we switch out? Because I got this mission I got to do, and I got to have it done by a certain time. And your vessel seems like to be the appropriate vessel, or this is the vessel that I had chose, and I wasn't aware that you were in this vessel. So would it be okay if we could swap out? The soul says either yes, it'll agree to it, say yes, we can swap out. I'm going to return back to Sirius A, which is where all the souls are located at and created in Sirius A. Or they're going to say, no, I'm going to keep this body because I have a mission I need to accomplish. Then you have situations where they share the actual vessel. This is the part whenever they come in with the whole split personality thing. Okay? Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, that whole thing is going on. Because a lot of times what most people don't realize, because we weren't educated about these soul walk-ins. Soul walk-ins are beings that have a mission that come here to this planet. And it's not just this planet, it could be any planet. But let's just speak for the sake of planet Kai, the one we currently live on right now. A lot of times the beings that are inhabiting the body may not have any type of rapport with you whatsoever. Especially if that child is karmic. If that child is karmic and a soul walk-in, he doesn't want to have nothing to do with you, or she doesn't want to have nothing to do with you whatsoever. You're going to notice you don't have things in common. You're going to notice that the child is always in opposition to you. You're going to notice that it's going to cause problems for you no matter what. They're going to tell you that they don't even see you as their parents. Parents, you need to pay attention to that. You may think it's talk back because you were programmed to think a certain particular way, and you weren't taught to critically think and say, wait a minute, let me really listen to this child. Let me really listen to my child and really listen to what they're saying. A lot of times you guys just take care of your children and you try to go through life the best way that you can, but you're not really paying attention to the signs that's being brought around you. You're not paying attention to what the child is saying. Okay? You're not paying attention. So the child is saying, I don't relate with you. I don't identify with you. I don't want nothing to do with you. I'd rather spend time with the grandparents. I don't have nothing to do with you. They'll do things to cause you problems. Hell, they may even do things to get you locked up in jail. They'll do anything they can just to be in direct opposition of you. That is a karmic child. And probably a karmic child that's a soul walk-in. And so they look at you like, look, we appreciate you being the vessel. I'm gonna tell you how this went down. I'm gonna tell you how that spirit spoke to that vessel that's carrying this child. Check it out, fam. I appreciate you for allowing me to come through your vessel, but I can take it from here. Especially when they get around the age of about 10 or 11 years old, this is when you're going to really start seeing it. So if this is you, more than likely, if you are a parent and you are having these types of experiences, more than likely you have a karmic child or a karmic child that is also a soul walk-in. Soul walk-ins usually come to accomplish missions. And they have a certain amount of time to get it done. Okay? They have a certain amount of time to get it done. This is the reason why you can see certain speakers that might have been a certain way at one point in time. And then all of a sudden, you see a whole nother side to the person. Now, you're seeing this person spaz out, doing all these different things you've never seen them do before. You don't know why that's happening. All you know is that the person that you once knew was carrying themselves a specific way, and all of a sudden they just flipped the script. There are speakers out here in the circle we've literally witnessed that happen to right in front of our faces. And what you witnessed was several different things going on with those individuals. One, you had individuals that may have dealt with a soul walk-in, where you see the person changing very drastically. If you see the person going backwards, it could be something along the lines of that, or that person also could be filled with implants. And that's a different thing I'm gonna come back to later about how they operate and what they really do, especially with these new prototypes that they're putting out there now. Okay. If you have relatives or friends that you have been cool with for let's say 10, 15, 20 years, okay, and all of a sudden this person decides to flip the script and there's nothing about them that says this is the person that you remember other than the physical shell, 9 times out of 10, they probably, a soul walk-in probably came in and took over. Okay. Spirits can come in and take over bodies. If you are soulless, meaning that you're a bot, meaning that you absolutely don't have any type of spiritual connection to anything. You are totally trapped in this 3D realm, and this is all that you know, and this is all that you care about. You have completely cut off from source. You have completely cut yourself off from creation. 9 times out of 10, you're probably soulless. Because a person without a soul doesn't have the ability to elevate. I'm going to say this again. A person without a soul does not have the ability to elevate. It can't be done. Cannot be done. So if you are around people that you see are on certain programs, and A, they don't want to do any work whatsoever to work. They don't want to do anything to work on themselves whatsoever. B, they are cut up strictly in the 3D realm. Their mind state doesn't give you any indication whatsoever that they have any type of elevated consciousness to them at all. These are people that also could be energy vampires. Soulless people are, in fact, energy vampires. These are individuals that come in and literally suck the life out of you. Have you ever been around a person before and you talk to them for about 10, 15, 20 minutes and you're exhausted and you're like ready to go to sleep, like, damn. Or when they're in the house and you're around, you have energy, and then all of a sudden you have no energy when they're around, and you find yourself having an exit stage left because you don't know what the hell that is. Those are called energy vampires, and 9 times out of 10, those people are soulless. When a person is soulless, they have a void within the middle of their body. Okay, it's usually right here within the chest area. It's like a big ass hole. Any spirit, any entity, any God being, any ET can see those types of beings walking around here and immediately take them over without a problem. And you wouldn't be none the wiser unless you knew the individuals that you were dealing with prior to the drastic change. You may see things like a person, maybe you may know that what a person's dislikes and likes are. And all of a sudden, you test them and you throw something out there, something that you know damn well they don't like and they don't play, and they all of a sudden agree with you. I can guarantee you that that person that you're with ain't the person that you were with. It's somebody else. Okay? They do have a look to them. Some of the soulless people do have a look to them. They have a blank look. It's like this blank stare. Y'all know the stare I'm talking about. It's like a blank stare. You can tell there's no soul in the eyes. Like you can see it. Like it doesn't take a rocket scientist for you to see this. You can feel it. Like for me, the hair stand up on the back of my neck or my arms when I'm around a person that's soulless. I can immediately pick up on it immediately. The way my protections are set up, I'm off the rip. You getting scanned off the rip. There's already a bunch of stuff that's going on that you may not even be aware of, and different types of communication I'm getting because my protection is set up a specific way. And if I detect that you're soulless, or if I detect that you are a bot, or I detect that you're a soul walk-in, then I'm going to move accordingly according to what I think might be going on with you. Okay? I think it's called the 1,000-mile gaze or something like that. Howard Robinson, I wasn't even aware they even had a name for it. There's no type of sparkle within the eyes. That is correct. And so if you pay attention, especially now with certain agendas that were pushed over the last 2 years, if you start paying attention to the people, you're going to see that same blank stare. That same, like, you know, when you ask them a question, like, why did you do that? Or why did this happen? Or why did you make this decision? And you notice when the person looks at you crazy with that blank stare, and they don't even have an explanation as to why they did what they did, because they didn't even think about why they were doing what they were doing. A person that doesn't think or put any thought whatsoever into anything they're about to do prior to taking the actions, you need to take a very close look at those individuals. Now, granted, you're going to have people that are young that are going to make mistakes, people that don't think before they act, or they go and they correct themselves. That's a person that has the ability to elevate. That person has a soul. I'm talking about the individuals who continue to keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. It's like they're on this program and they can't get off of it. I'm talking about those. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The individuals that will sit up here and complain about their circumstances but won't do anything about it, and complain and complain and complain and keep complaining about the same circumstances over and over and over again. And it's like they're in this roller coaster ride of craziness, like this loopy ride of craziness that they're going through. See, we never looked at it like this before because we never had a diagnosis. This wasn't the type of conversations that you were having back in the day. Nobody was talking about soul walk-ins and soulless beings and bots and all types of stuff. That nobody was really having those conversations like that on a regular basis. So when that stuff is not brought to your attention, you have no reason to think anything other than that person is crazy. How many times have we said that? This motherfucker right here crazy. The hell are you talking about, fam? But now it kind of puts a different spin on it now that your awareness, now that you've become aware of what is actually out here listening to. Now you have the ability to properly discern because now it's coming into your awareness. If something doesn't come into a person's awareness, it can't possibly hit their consciousness. If it doesn't hit their consciousness, they don't know, they don't know. So now what I want you guys to do is I want you to take a step back and I want you to ask yourselves, how many times have you come across these types of individuals, but you just didn't know what you were looking at or how to classify it? How many times have you done that? My TF walked in a soulless being and talked to me. Your TF, who's your TF? I'm so grateful for this, as I have been called crazy and ridiculed by my own circle. There's nothing for anybody to be ridiculed about at this point in time. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. I want you guys to get into a space where you have got to stop worrying about what other people think about you. You got to stop worrying about what other people think about you when you have ideas that are different from the status quo. Right now, we are in a space where we don't have time for that shit. Nobody that's on the level of your elevation should have any kind of influence or effect on where you're headed. I'm going to say it again. Nobody that is on the same level of elevation should have the effect on anything or any thoughts you may have that doesn't align with their own if they're not trying to elevate. So what I'm saying to you, my people, is you gotta let them people go. When you are dealing with the soulless people or the individuals, these are people that go with the wind. These are people that don't have the ability to think for themselves. Pay attention to that. These are people that are constantly externalizing their power on a consistent basis. Constantly externalizing their power. I don't have the ability to think for myself, so can somebody else out here just give me the answers, or can somebody else out here think for me? That's a bot. That's a bot. They don't have any creativity. That is correct. They don't see long term in anything that they do. They play the victim quite a lot. They don't want to correct their behavior. They want to project all their bullshit onto everybody else. Now, let me say this one thing. There are practitioners out there that do have the ability to restore souls back to a person's body if they didn't lose a soul due to a prior contract from past life. Okay? They do have the ability to restore souls. I'm one that actually has the ability to restore souls. That's not a gift that everyone has, but I'm one of those people that actually have the ability to do it and have done it. Okay? That's stuff you learn when you're in the cosmic realm, you're being schooled and trained. This is the type of stuff that you learn. This is the reason why I say to you guys, don't ever compare the things that I do with what an average person out here is doing, because I don't do average shit. A lot of stuff that I'm bringing down to the table as far as the stuff that I do and the stuff that I have to offer is coming from higher levels. And you got to be well trained and well schooled and well versed to do a lot of the stuff that I do. So don't ever compare me to some regular shit. Don't ever compare me to doing some goddamn salt baths and stupid shit like that to get rid of some damn karma. Don't ever come at me on that lower level bullshit. The stuff I'm dealing with is coming from higher levels. and it's very intricate, and you got to know what the hell you're doing. Nonetheless, this isn't a fad. This ain't for the play. Y'all love to go out here and talk shit about people, but you don't do shit but talk shit about people, and you ain't helping nobody to get to the next level. So you got to pay attention to shit like that. You see, not only do I come out here and put the information out there, but then I offer services to help you get to the next level. And I actually value my time, and I value my knowledge, and I value my expertise. Don't get mad at me because your ass is over there mad and broke. It ain't even about you being broke. What it's about is you being able to prosper off of your own energy. You see, you seek from within. You go from within. You seek that kingdom from within, and everything else shall be added upon you. Period. That's how this goes. Because people want access to someone that can assist them and help them get to the next level. Period. A lot of things that I teach, one of the things I promote is think for yourself. Go inward. Do your work. And even break down about what the work is. Some people don't even tell you what the work is. I break it down on this live I just did on Telegram about what the work is. The problem is a lot of folks don't want to do that work. You wanna listen to what somebody else says. Get that in your mind. Then when somebody else hits you with some different shit, oh, I got an issue with that because such and such didn't say that, blah, 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 blah. Well, what the hell's that got to do with me and what I'm learning and what I'm teaching? Pick and choose what resonates. What don't resonate, throw the shit away. Now, what I'm going to say is, I first want to say thanks everybody for coming here and showing up on me doing this live today, because I didn't even know I was going to come on here and do the live. It was very random. But because people had come to me and had asked me about doing a live about soulless beings and karmic children, I decided to go ahead and break that down so you guys will know the difference. If you are having a situation where you think that your child possibly might be a karmic child, then I would suggest that you begin to start doing some research on a much higher level on how to deal with situations like that, because it's not the conventional easy way that you will go about handling a situation like that will not apply, and it will not, nothing you do will work. If we're going to try to go about conventional parenting, it will not work. Okay, it will not work. Some of these children will kill you. If that child's a karmic child and they have absolutely nothing in common with you, and because you don't know what type of soul walk-in came in, and they don't want to have nothing to do with you, I've seen it happen too, or the children take their parents right on up out of here because they wasn't able to see and or recognize what it was they were actually dealing with. Now, you got, back in the day in religion, they taught you about possession, right? They taught you about possession in the most dramatic way possible. The screaming, the changing of voices and all that, right? They put that shit out there, scared everybody half to death with that shit, okay? And everybody thinking, oh, this person is possessed, this, that, and the third. There is a difference between possession and a spirit walk-in or a soul walk-in or a being walk-in. The thing is that you don't know what type of being walked in. That's the problem. You don't know what type of being walked in. Was it a malevolent being that walked in? Was it a benevolent being that walked in? Some changes to a person could be very subtle, and some changes with the person can be very drastic. Okay? Shelly Goddess says, I never connected with my mom. She never loved me and my twin. What was she? just a portal. It's a strong possibility that she was a portal. At the same time, it's a possibility that you guys may have came from a different star system as twins to come in and handle a job. And so her whole thing is, okay, well, I got these kids that I got to take care of, but you may not have a spiritual connection to that mother. I've seen that happen. I literally have seen a situation play out right in front of my face where there was a woman who has a son. He does not relate to her in any level. His father was in a relationship with another woman. Technically, that woman, the woman that he was cheating on her with, actually had the boy. So he had a child out of the relationship. That child was karmic because that child actually belonged to that woman that the gentleman was in a relationship with. And he has a strong bond and connection to the woman that the father was in a strong relationship with, and not the other woman who actually carried him. But he had a strong connection to that other woman. And when I did some investigation on it, I found out that really is her son. And I had to tell the mother, like, this is her son, this is hers, he's hers. Like, you're going to have to sit down and have a conversation with the moms. I don't know how you're going to do that, but you're going to have to sit down and have a conversation with the moms. But this is the reason why he gravitates towards her, why he feels so much more at home with her, et cetera, is because he's not yours. So imagine having that conversation. Or imagine having a conversation, something else that happens. You could, let's say for women who had abortions, you could have an abortion, right? 10, 15 years ago. You wasn't ready for that child. 15, 20 years later, you meet that child, but it came through another vessel. And then if you're around someone that has a skill set to investigate, because they understand they're operating not in the spiritual realm, but also operating in the cosmic realm, if you come across someone that's a practitioner that understands both sides of the game, that's me. I'm a practitioner. I practice Ifa. But I'm also in the cosmic realm. So I understand both sides of the game. So if you come across individuals that have that skill set, that have the ability to look in on a situation, then you'll start finding out that this child is actually your child that you were supposed to have back in 2000, but you didn't keep the child. So the child had to come through another vessel, but the child found you, and that's still your child. Indigo child, your face got me over here cracking up. Your face emoji said interesting. Well, let me tell y'all something. I know someone who that's actually happened to. Okay? I know someone that's happened to. A cousin had 4 miscarriages before being able to give birth. Her son, she eventually had, really hates her. Could he be karmic? He most certainly could. And he could be karmic due to the fact of, okay, these were miscarriages. There could be a number of things that's going on there. One would have to investigate why the individual had the miscarriages in the first place. That's number one. Was that person supposed to have relations with that particular species of individual? Because you guys also have to take consideration. This shit's about to get real deep. You guys got to take into consideration that you think that you're this shell. You think you're this. But if I pull down your Akashic record, I'm going to tell you exactly who the hell you are and what you are and what you've always been. So even though you may be caught up in this fleshly body, that don't mean that this is what you are. So let me give an example of something. If you are an angelic, and next thing you know, you're the person you're with, you don't realize that they're actually a God. They're a God being. This is a very rare thing. You don't realize that this person is a God being. This person will be an Andromeda god. Andromeda gods can't mix with angelics, right? So you hook up with this Andromeda god that's an angelic, you're going to have opposition all damn day. You're going to have all kinds of opposition going on. There's either going to be something going on wrong with that relationship, or there's something going to be going wrong with the children that you had, There's always going to be some shit going on with that. It's never going to be like a smooth situation. Why? Because it's taboo for those two energies to mix in the cosmic realm. See, I'm giving you guys the knowledge that should have been given to the masses. So then people could have moved a total different way. So did she have those? Why did she have those miscarriages? Did she have those miscarriages because she was mixing with something she should have been mixing with? Did she have those miscarriages because maybe there might have been some spiritual warfare going on behind the scenes and some family relatives didn't want that person to have a child and they were working to do work on the child so the child wouldn't be born? It could be so many different factors as to why that didn't happen and why this person experienced what they had. But if this child definitely doesn't want to have anything to do with her, 9 times out of 10, he's probably karmic. And let's just say he is a two different type of species individual where he was mixed, he's definitely karmic. I had a baby with someone who zones out. What does that mean? Need advice. Well, you're going to have to give me a little bit more context than just that information. You telling me that you had a baby with someone who zones out. What is the cause of the zone out? Are they smoking weed? Are they doing drugs? If they're not doing drugs, tell me what happens when they're zoning out. I need a little bit more context to even give you any type of an answer about what that could be. I don't know. Yagi Money, Yag Girl Money, how to find your cosmic lineage. I do that. I'll pull down your entire cosmic lineage. Go to Shop Isis Wisdom, go to spiritual consultations, and click on cosmic readings. I think I had a karmic relationship, had 3 kids, all premature. 1 got adopted, and the last one passed. I now only have my firstborn. I often feel it's something off with that. Plus, my baby loves her dad. That could be a situation, or it could be a situation where you may have did a contract with somebody or something, and you didn't fulfill your end of the bargain in that contract from that previous lifetime. Let me give an example of an individual that came across that has that situation going on right now. There's an individual that I have been assisting, and she has children, but she's lost, I think, 1 or 2 children. The 2 children I think that she lost had a lot to do with the fact that in one of her karmic cycles, when I was investigating her karma, one of her karmic cycles showed that she had made a deal with a Goetia. And the deal was that she was supposed to give her firstborn son to that Goetia because she wanted something in exchange. Well, she didn't follow through on it. So that Goetia has been taking her firstborns. And sometimes it takes her secondborns and causes hell. So see, when we start talking about healing, I'm on next level shit with it. Because in order for a person to become whole, you got to go deeper than just the basic shadow work that y'all know about. You're going to do the shadow work that you know about for this lifetime. You must, because you're currently living in this karmic cycle. But what about the karmic cycles that brought you to this planet that you still haven't dealt with? And have you did the shadow work for those aspects? And what are the themes of the lessons that you didn't learn that brought you here in the first place? So when we start talking about you healing, we're start talking about you healing on a much more grander level than just what you see going on here in a 3D realm. You guys want power so bad. You want your powers to come on. You know that you're great. You know that you're gods. Hell, I've been seeing folks say, oh, we're gods, oh, we're angels, oh, we're Anunnaki, oh, we're this and that and the third and the blah, 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 blah. The only way you're going to find out who and what the hell you really are is you got to come holler at someone that is an experienced practitioner that knows the Akashic record. Take a look and see what you really are. This information has been hidden. This is the type of shit that they were teaching the ancient Egyptian mystery schools. It's just that now we're in the age of Aquarius. And now, since we're in the age of Aquarius and things are going more cosmic and galactic, see, we were galactic at one point, then we fell. Humanity's fallen in their conscious levels and fell and fell and fell and fell and fell. Why? Because you had reptilians, you had Greys, you had Anunnaki. They all felt as though that the hierarchy systems were valid. Even the Draconians operate with a hierarchy system. A lot of your malevolent forces operate on hierarchy systems. But what if I was to tell you that when you're really dealing in the cosmic realm, the majority of it is about unity consciousness? So anytime you hear someone coming to you, speaking to you on a spiritual level, and they start breaking down that hierarchy shit, pay attention. That right there is an agent for the Matrix. They're either agent for the Matrix, agent for the Anunnaki, an agent for the Greys, or an agent for the Reptilians. That's your first sign right there. That's your first huge red flag right there. That's why you always hear me say, nobody's different than anybody else. Now, in terms of I'm better than you or I'm higher than you, nobody's different than anybody else when it comes to everything is on a level playing field as it pertains to that. Now, when it comes to knowledge base, meaning those who went in and did the work and did their studying and things like that, that's something totally different. That's the only difference between those who are operating on the playing field versus those who are operating on the playing field that decided to become more educated and decide to elevate themselves and their own consciousness. It doesn't mean that that person is higher than you. It just means that they're just one person who's operating in unity consciousness. Everything is unified. And this person just decided to elevate themselves and start going up the ladder to learn more things. That's all it is. It ain't nothing else. Do you have to have babies with what you are in the cosmic? No, you don't have to have babies. But see, here's the thing. What I need you guys to understand is that there are many different existences of who you are. There are many different existences of who you are, especially when you start looking at the multiverse. There are many different versions of you. So on this planet, you may just be this person. But on another planet, you're going to run into yourself again, but you may be this. Okay, you may be doing the exact same thing there as you're doing here. Okay, let me give an example. If you are a priest in this lifetime, that means that you are a priest in previous other galaxies as well, when you start looking at it from a multiverse perspective. So there are other different versions of you that are operating all at the same damn time in other star systems. That's what the multiverse is. That's why I was really surprised when they had Doctor Strange come out and in the title they were talking about the multiverse. I really laughed about that because that was one of the things I was going to really come out and start teaching about is the multiverse in subdimensions and how they work. My website is shopisiswisdom.com. Norel, you're not a crowd. Let me tell y'all something right now. Let me tell y'all something. It's been so deep over here with the stuff I've been learning. You guys remember I did a live last year called Return to Gods. And you guys have no idea how many gods that are currently on this planet right now. And what I mean, I'm talking about the gods that you knew about, that you read about, that are currently in a vessel right now, and they are consciously aware of who they are. And the vessel is also consciously aware of who they are themselves. See, some of the things I say, I try to be careful because I don't want to go too far out there because I know some of you guys are not there yet and you're trying to catch up and you're trying to come into an understanding. So I always try to make it a point to make sure that I'm tying things back in on the level where I feel like a lot of you guys can understand. It's a little hard for me to do that now when you're learning higher things. How can we recognize if we are karmic children as adults? You would have to get a reading done, Mama, to determine if that's the case now, especially if you're adults. I mean, you can assess. Remember what I told you a karmic child is. So if you fit the description of what I told you was a karmic child is, then more than likely you or somebody that you know is a karmic child. No, someone says I heard about Kakusa power being taken from us. Does that anything to do with our current state as a whole? Let me just say this one thing. I don't know what Kakusa power is, but let me just break this down for y'all. How we actually we took an L, first of all, when the crystal trees started, and the indigenous people were the only ones that were keeper of these crystals. You might as well say they were in the old world. So these crystal trees were very intricately connected to every indigenous person on this planet. It is how we received our downloads, our information. We were very technologically advanced at that time. Remember, you guys got to do some research on Tartaria. That is I would say that would be a very good time period for you guys to do some research on, so you could begin to see how advanced things were. They had entire crystal cities. When all these things got taken down by those that we know today as the Nernians. The Nernians are also inbred with they're inbred with reptilian and gray DNA. But the Nernians are the ones who came from planet Nern. Okay, that's where the Caucasian race has come from. For those who don't know, they came from a planet called planet Nern. Nern was an actual planet that was created for experiments. Okay, it was created for experiments. There was a being that you guys know about. You may name him, and he was exactly what they described him as in the book. But see, when I break this down to you, I need you guys to understand. Do not look at this from a biblical perspective, because all these stories are real, but the stories are inverted and they switch certain things up. They switch a lot of things up. So when I tell you the story, I'm going to tell you the story from a cosmic perspective, because that's exactly where the story came from. So don't get caught up in the religious aspect of things. That's manipulation. That's what they utilize to manipulate people, keep the people under control. That was done by the reptilians and the grays. Okay, they wanted to keep the people at a certain level. And I want to make sure you guys understand something. These reptilians and grays hijacked the matrix of planet Kai and started entering in viruses so that the matrix would turn against its own population of people. When this planet was first created, it was never created to be where it is today. It was never created for that. Now, we are in what you call the North Quadrant of our solar system. The North Quadrant. Satan and those that you know, Lucifer, who is a goddess. She's not the first, but she is a goddess of Venus, a malevolent goddess of Venus. We call her the fallen morning star. Okay? The fallen morning star. It was told that she was a light bearer, that she actually was dark and then elevated to the light. Upon doing deeper research, I found out that not to be true. What she did was she was light first, then she descended into the dark and has remained there in the dark and has not left the dark since. Okay? So I want you guys to understand something. The Archangel Satan decided that he wanted to create beings that he wanted to worship him because he was tired of the light. So this is where Nern comes into play. Okay? This is where planet Nern comes into play. Planet Nern, what he did was he captured old, like dead carcasses, or beings that were created by gods and other species, and snatch those particular types of beings up, where these beings were animals from different star systems. And this needs to be understood, because some of you guys are not going to like what I have to say, but I have to say it. This is what I mean when I say I'll speak truth to power, but I'm not saying this to cause division. I'm saying this to educate you, so you understand what it is that you're dealing with. Because you could be forgiving, but don't be out here and be stupid. There's a difference, okay? There are species in the solar system that are just malevolent. You don't go out of your way to be friends with a that is malevolent, especially a species that's malevolent towards your race or your being. This is all galactic. This has nothing to do with these vessels that you guys know as the 1% fam. That's all. That's a distraction. That's a distraction. That's a total, complete distraction. What I'm trying to get you guys to understand is that you are dealing with something on a cosmic level that has come here to this planet that is destructive in nature because of the way that they were created. In fact, they were so unruly that Satan kicked them out of Nern, and they left Nern and they went to invade other star systems. Let that sink in. So you mean to tell me that the beings that he created to worship him so he could gain more power were so unruly that he had to kick them out of Nern? Yes, he did create those beings before he became a god. And let me be clear about something. A lot of these beings came from a star system came from Sirius X. Okay. It came from a star system called Sirius X. I come from Sirius X. All right. Shango is the ruler of Zalanthia, the Orisha Shango. See, y'all think these Orisha are not deities, and they're gods, and they're creator gods, and they rule throughout the solar systems. You don't really hear too many Ifa priests coming out and dropping that knowledge and that science like that, because it's not something that's focused on. Okay? But the Orisha Shango rules planet Zalanthia. And a lot of beings came from Zalanthia, came from Sirius X. I don't want you guys to understand that there's Sirius A all the way to Sirius X. That's a real thing. It's one of the most intricate star systems to ever exist. You have ships out here the size of galaxies with their own ecosystems. So don't ever limit yourself when it comes to your thinking and thinking that you know what time it is, because I can assure you, with the stuff that I'm being taught right now and shown, it'll blow your wig so far back, fam, that you won't even know how to process the wig blowing. So over in Zalanthia, his wife is Mayat. And the Yoruba pantheon, you know her as Oba, Shango's first wife. When I saw her, I saw Mayat when I went to Zalanthia, my father. Okay? In meditation. Getting lots of glitching. They don't want this knowledge spread. Blow your wig back. Yes, our calendar is 8 years off. The universe is deep, dark ocean filled with predators, and Earth is just a small island. I wouldn't make that so focused, because it is deep with a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't do it like that. Olokun, Atlantis. Yes, that is correct. So Zalanthia, that's where Satan's from as well. So whenever you get these beings on Nern, okay, And they got their asses kicked out of Nern. And mind you, now Nern is just an experimental. It's just a place where he did experiments at. No, I don't even. There is some beings still on Nern, but it ain't like how it used to be. And it's a cold, desolate place. Okay, very cold, very desolate. When they started doing some research to scour out the solar system, Planet Kai was one of the planets that they wanted to get to, because Planet Kai has a lot of resources. And so they came here. And when they came here, they landed on the Caucasus Mountains. That's a real thing. But what's not told is what was there or established at the Caucasus Mountains. Those were your reptilians and your grays. Okay? So you have a being or a species of being where their sole purpose is about survival. Okay? Survival. I can't be mad at a species that's looking for survival. What I'm so that we dropped the ball. Okay? My Wi-Fi is acting up just a little bit. Make sure you guys can hear me. I'll just say something. Let's see what I've heard. They came through a portal in the Caucasus Mountains. They did come through a portal. That is correct. Okay, let me know if it's doing a lot of buffering and stuff like that, please. Don Solo. That's why I'm not even talking about that shit. Why did you even bring it up? Can you guys hear me? Okay, you guys can hear me okay now? Okay, all right. And let me help you all out with something. A little tidbit, just a little tidbit of information. I'm gonna drop to y'all real quick because I think you guys should know this information. The being that you guys know to be Jesus, which we know is Greek, that's a Greek name and all that. We understand all that. We know he had a different name and all that. We know that. We also know that he's a son and teach. Damn. It's cutting me out again. Yeah, I see it glitching. I see it glitching. Is it good? Is it good? Okay. What I said was that I said that the being that you guys know to be Jesus as your savior, which is funny to me, he is from the Orion star system. He's from the Orion constellation. And I said that Oladuma Reed chose him to be the best vessel to come to people about how to access their own power. That's why he told you you are gods. He was explaining to you the things that you need to do to get yourself to a higher level, and they crucified him for it because the people did not want people to be empowered. That being was teaching people all over the world how to become empowered, how to access your gifts, how to do proper meditation, how to do proper fasting, how to do all these different things in order for you to get the necessary communication. And every single time that he had mentioned something about getting some higher communication, such as what they're going to do, demonize it and tell you it was the devil to make sure that you were cut off from your gifts from source. So the book, the way you understand the book and the way it was written is not the true way that it was supposed to be. The book was to teach you and show you and give you specific instructions on what you need to do to elevate your spirit and your soul, for you to know who you are and to get yourself to another level. That's what that teaching was about. They cut out a bunch to manipulate the minds. And this is where the manipulation church. You need to look at the Vatican. It started there. You were never supposed to worship. You were never supposed to do anything. You were never supposed to do anything. You weren't supposed to. You were never supposed to do that. So them putting his image of what he looks like to match their shit, that was because of the simple fact that, and I'm going to say this in the most nice way possible, and then I'm going to elaborate a little bit further. Some, but not all of them, have been cut off from source or cut off from the creator. Now, because of all the mixing that took place in Atlantis, before Atlantis was destroyed, there was a lot of mixing that took place in Atlantis. A lot of mixing taking place with the reptilians, a lot of mixing taking place with the Greys, a lot of mixing taking place with the Anunnaki. They were running experiments big time. There's not a single human on this planet, or what is perceived to be a human, that is considered to be a purebred. Because there was so much mixing taking place. So here's an example of what I mean by this. Some of you really do have Anunnaki DNA in your blood, or RNA in your blood. Let me change it to RNA, not DNA. Some of you guys have higher aspects that are Anunnaki. And you have brown skin. Some of you guys have reptilian, hence the reptilian brain, the fight or flight response, the reptilian brain. Some people even have tails. Why do you think this exists? Because of the mixing that was taking place amongst the races. That's why. It got to a point where Atlantis became so bad with the mixing of the races that literally it had to be destroyed. Now, let me say this. A lot of the Atlanteans are water beings. A lot of those beings, when they left before it was destroyed, they were in the water. So a lot of them beings haven't went anywhere. Those are your mermaids. All your aquatic life. The oceanic cities that's never being talked about. You ever take notice they don't talk about the oceanic cities in the oceans? They made 2 movies about something like that, and then you don't see them make any movies about it anymore. Like they just leave it alone, like we ain't even gonna talk about this no more. We're just gonna let that go. Or every once in a while we'll touch on a little bit and then we'll just disappear and act like we don't want to bring too much attention, because we don't want the people to figure out that the Atlanteans are still alive and that the Atlanteans are still around. Now, when they put out that movie Aquaman, they really put it out there in your face. And they were making a mockery of you. Okay? Because they don't want you to understand and start connecting any dots. So a lot of your water beings, a lot of your water titans, things like that, all of them Atlanteans. And they haven't went anywhere. They're still here. Unidentified submerged objects, USOs. How many times have you saw videos of ships going in the ocean and then turning around and shooting back out? You guys got to understand that you are living on a plane. A galactic plane. A plane that's always been galactic, that is constantly moving. Right now, we are currently in the Milky Way galaxy right now. The Matrix has done everything in its power to block us from seeing such sights. That's another thing that's not being told to us. But right now, in our positioning, right now, we are currently in the Milky Way galaxy right now, even as we speak. Yes, at Lady Toya, I put that video up. And that video resonated with me. She was definitely real. But a lot of people are not ready for that type of reality just yet. But I had predicted this last year and told you guys, even the year before that, I told you guys you're going to start seeing things coming up from the oceans. You guys keep thinking it's a joke. You guys keep thinking everything is CGI. You guys keep thinking that it's just a figment of your imagination because you can't let this 3D reality go. That's what's going to bind your ass here. And you will not ascend. Those beings that you saw with that girl in that ocean like that, that's been seen. Have y'all ever went to Haiti and listened to the people who live in Haiti? Or how about Jamaica? That's been seen. How about Africa? That's been seen. This ain't nothing new to those cultures there. It's only new to us who live in America. It's not nothing new to other cultures around the world. Because America likes to paint a picture that everything is Disney World and fairy tale stories and all that bunch of bullshit. And that's not really what it is. The beings that run this planet have a hard time with dealing with truth. And they'll do anything in their power to stop you from getting access to it. Because the more truth that you know, the more stronger you become as a species. And I want you guys to understand, yes, the Galactic Federation is here. Yes, they're traveling in very large ass ships, council ships that are actually on this planet right now. That's a very real thing that's happening right now. And they're using cloud technology. If you would just take the time out and start critically thinking, and you start looking at these clouds, there ain't nothing about these clouds that are normal looking clouds. And when you go to other star systems, they don't even have clouds. They don't even know what the hell that shit is. That's some shit with Earth. And you can't go by what these people at NASA are telling you, because they're going to clog everything up and make it seem like this because they want you to have a certain specific perception. So your reality is jacked. Let me put y'all up on game about something. Ain't no such thing as clouds. Ain't no such thing as clouds. They don't exist. They don't exist. Can't believe these folks are making me cut my damn phone off. The sky don't look real. The clouds don't look real. I put a video up, and I would take a picture of what I saw and place it on my YouTube channel. But there's a video I put up on my Telegram channel where I showed what an actual Galactic Federation ship actually looked like. And you can actually see in the actual dark spaces, it's like a pyramid shape. You can actually see this thing slanting down, but then there's clouds over top of it. So if you're not looking at it carefully, you can see the distortion a little bit. But this thing, we literally watched this thing lower itself 3 times to get as close to the water as it possibly could be. And I explained to people, I said, you see that smooth bottom like that? I said, that's the bottom of the ship. We saw something open up, and we saw something that looked like it was translucent take off from that ship and take off across the ocean over here. Okay? So when I showed y'all that video, there was people that said they couldn't see it or whatever, but there was plenty of people that actually could see it because their emojis was like, oh my God, look at the size of that thing. I found out that that thing was a Galactic Federation Council ship. And they do have projects going on all over this planet right now because even though they're neutral, they want humanity to have a chance to grow. Because I need you guys to understand that humanity has been stifled for a very long time, where we are so stifled that our school systems are not even teaching us even the bare minimum of anything. I'm having a conversation with my children from a different star system, right? Let me put you up on game. This is going to trip y'all out. I'm having a conversation. I have 3 kids in a different star system. When I go in to talk to my husband and my children, I asked them what they were learning in school. They said to me, we're learning to master water, the element of water. We're learning to master the element of water, how to work with water. Oddly enough, I thought that was kind of funny because that's actually what I'm doing right now, even as we speak, learning to master the art of the element of water. Okay? Now, as I'm communicating with them, I asked them, so what else are you learning? They said, we learn the basics of alchemy. Alchemy is my shit. That's my shit. And I use it and I apply it on all different levels. I do change the energy. I will switch the energy around in a heartbeat. So the point I'm trying to make is that you got other children and other star systems being taught how to master the elements, being taught alchemy, being taught a different type of mathematics, being taught how to do all these different things. But yet in this particular planet, in case you guys haven't noticed, we're still riding around in airplanes and riding around in goddamn helicopters. What the hell's really going on right now? You know what they said to me? When I let them see where I was living, they said, it looks boring over there. I started cracking the hell up. And I was like, well, for those that are in a human body, It's okay. I said, but it is kind of boring though, a little bit now that I think about it. And they said, no, I don't think we'll be coming there, mother. I don't think we'll be coming there. I don't like it. We don't like it there. They said, why aren't we seeing any people fly around? And I had to explain to them, I said, because humans don't fly around. Humans need to have wings. And they're looking at each other like, what the hell? Because where they're from, everybody flies around. Everybody's floating around. Everybody's flying around. You know, it's a normal thing to see where they come from. So they're like, so nobody's flying around. So like the only way you can get around is with helicopters and airplanes. And then they're looking at the clouds and they're like, what are those? I said, those are clouds. What are clouds? They're like looking at each other like, what the hell is a cloud? Like they don't know nothing about this. The stuff that we deal with, they don't know nothing about this shit here. That let me know we are super behind the 8 ball, okay? They're like, they started cracking up. They was like, clouds? They said, why is it covering the sun? I said, because they're disrespectful, right? They said, well, if they're disrespectful, why don't you destroy them? I was like, okay. Okay. So it was hilarious. Now, let me just go ahead and cover this tidbit of information here real quick for those who don't understand how these things work when you're receiving communication from higher beings. Higher beings don't utilize the English language. The English language is limited and it is demonic. Okay. What it is your vessel having the ability and your spirit having the ability to interpret what's being said. So they're not talking to me in the English language. They're talking to me in a different language. But my brain is able to interpret it in the English language, the language I speak today. Okay? So I just want to go ahead and put that out there, that for those who have the ability to hear, when you're hearing them speak in your own language, they're not speaking in your language. They're speaking in your language. I mean, they're speaking in their language. It's just that you have a filter that knows how to filter the information and give it to you in a way that you know how to receive it. There are words that can't even, like when I ask them questions about the omniverse, and then they say there are bigger things than that. You just don't have in your vocabulary a word big enough to describe something bigger than the omniverse. So not only do we have a multiverse, but the multiverse, there's multiverses. Those multiverses are now an omniverse. But then the omniverse, they told me the correct word. They said that's not even the correct word to even express the vastness of what we're trying to give to you. Because the English language is so limiting and it limits your ability to be able to get the information that you need. It's limiting. So they tell me that there's something even greater than the omniverse. I'm like, well, damn. They said we don't have a word in the English language to tell you what it is. I just saw the person you were imitating, Isis. What are you talking about, imitating? So that's a good point. Someone, Gail Onifa said, if you were using only 10% of your brain, you wouldn't be breathing. But let me put you up on game about this, though. There were certain programs that were placed into the school systems and the broadcasts that you receive to limit your way of thinking. Okay? To limit your way of thinking. So I want you guys to understand that there's a lot that is going on right now. And I kind of skipped around a little bit. But what I wanted to say to you is that it's 4 o'clock my time, and I actually have a session to do with a client. I got some surgery I got to do for a client. And I didn't realize it was 4 o'clock. So I'm going to get off here. I thank you for sticking with me, even though the internet was cutting out and all that good stuff. But I am going to come back and I'm going to touch on some more things on a later date. And I want to continue that Lucifer story and that Satan story. And I want to really break that down to y'all so you guys feel and you guys have an understanding about certain things. Okay. Thank you guys so much for coming on board and hanging out with me. I really appreciate you. When you get a chance, I'm back on Instagram, the realest to ever do it. I'm back. TikTok, I am the realest to ever do it. Twitter, yeah, I'm on Twitter now. I am the realest number 2E. You'll see me on there. The main channel that I'm on right now is my Telegram, where I talk about things there that I can't talk about things here. That is also t.me. It's https semicolon 2 dashes t.me / I am the realest to ever do it. Okay? All right, babies. I'll talk to you in a minute. Peace.